Hi everyone, Melanie Minshinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. I'm really excited to be sharing my newest set from Gina K Designs with you, Winter Window. And I have a really simple project that we're going to be doing, showing how you can color this tree and frame it behind this beautiful window die cut that I have in the coordinating set. And if you want to layer that with Gina K's Master Layouts 5 paned window. They're just beautiful together. This really inspired me to have all kinds of scenes that you can create indoors and out. I've got tons of videos that we're going to have for the holidays, but today I want to just show you stamping this tree in this little living room. The cardstock that we're going to be using today, in addition to this set, I've got some of the Gina K Red Velvet. This is my favorite Christmas red. It is 4 1/4 inches by 11, scored at 5.5. I've got some yellow cardstock. This just needs to be large enough to go behind this frame. So this is approximately 3.5 inches by 4 1/4 inches. I've got some of the Sandy Beach cardstock. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4. It's just going to layer right on there to have a nice 1/8 reveal. And then I used my die from Winter Window to cut that out. I kept in mind that I wanted to have the greeting at the bottom, so you can just lay that out or use this as a guide. If you have a larger greeting, just put it up a little bit higher, and keep in mind your die cut piece is going to be perfect for another card or making a really cute tag. So I love this Sandy Beach. It's got little flecks in it like a craft paper, but it's a little bit lighter and it's really pretty for Christmas. I've also got a piece of the white. This is the layering weight white. This is going to be layered behind the craft, just like that. It's going to leave about a 1/4 inch all the way around, so it's going to look just like a really pretty painted white window casing. So this is going to be just slightly smaller than this 4 by 5 1/4 inch. You just want to have it big enough so that you don't have piece of the red showing behind. Okay, so I've already die cut these pieces. The ink pads that we're using today, I've got the Craft, which is going to create a floor with my blending brush. I've got the coordinating red velvet pad for my sentiment, and then the Obsidian amalgam ink for stamping my tree. I have some foam squares if you want to pop up the layer, and then Connect Glue for adhering those layered die cuts. Let's see, got my mini MISTI here. Really like this for stamping a detailed image like the tree, but if you don't have a MISTI, a 3 by 4 inch block or larger will be big enough to accommodate that tree. The ink that I'm using today, got some alcohol markers here. These are Arteza, but use whatever brand that you want. I have a couple different shades of red here, the 411 and the 410, and that's just going to add more dimension and shadows to the bows and ribbon, which I'm using it on. I've got the 546 and the 5959, so you can just do this with one green, but 2 greens are going to give the branches a little bit more dimension. I have a darker yellow, the 944, and then just a couple shades of brown because I wanted to color a little package under there, a brown paper package with string. And then I've got a blue. This is the A263. So just very primary colors here. We're going to be coloring onto the yellow. I'm going to be giving some tips about that in a minute, but I want to share those as I'm coloring. And then I've got a white pen. This is really going to add shine to your ornaments, and it's going to make it look like little twinkle lights. These bright white dots on here are going to really pop off of that colored cardstock. So let's go ahead and just get started with our stamping, and I'll talk more about our coloring. I've also got a tidy towel here just for making my sure my stamps are dust free and really clean. This has been moistened. And then I've also got some scratch paper here for doing a little bit of masking for the floor. So let's start by working on our tree here. So I'm just going to pop this into the MISTI, and to give me an idea of where I want to have that tree, and I'll be able to fudge it a little bit because it's going to be behind that die cut. But what I want to do is I'm just going to layer this over it to make sure that I'll be able to see all of it. And it is fun to have it maybe a little bit offset and you kind of look like you're just peeking in. It makes it a little bit more intimate in there. but I do have the tree sized so that you don't have to do any masking and you can see the full tree inside of that arched border or the winter window die cut. So I'm just going to put it right about here, just like that, and put my magnets down, close the door. All right, so this will probably take a couple tries to get all of the details, a very detailed image, and when you're stamping on the colored cardstocks, it doesn't have as smooth of an edge as Gina K's white cardstock, which you primarily use for doing your stamping. But I really wanted to use the yellow because I think it just looks a little bit more like a painted room. It's going to pop more than it would if I used white behind this white window treatment here, window casing. So you wouldn't see that detail as much. So you're really going to be able to appreciate the detail of the die cut, and it's going to show through that tree. So it's just going to look like wallpaper or paint behind it. So let me open this up and see how I did. So I need to get a little bit more. Just really rub it in there. Really rub, press down. You can make yourself a tool to kind of help you get that a little bit darker. Okay, so that works for me. I don't want to go too dark because I don't want to start obscuring it with too much black ink. This is just giving me a guide where all of my coloring is going to be. And come back for other videos so I can show you how it's going to look when you stamp it in green. All right, so let's do some of our coloring here. So I'm going to start by, let's see, what do I want to start with? Let me show you how to find these ribbons on here. I'm going to put my readers on. This helps me with my close-up detail nowadays, lately. All right, so I'm going to take my lighter red and I'm going to start by just coloring in these bows. Okay, so there's several bows on here and they're all attached to this ribbon that is wrapping around the tree. So you'll see that it kind of gets wide and then it gets thin and disappears. That's because it's twisting around the tree like a garland. So you're really seeing kind of the shine and the shimmer of that ribbon and the texture, and it just looks fancier. So here's another ribbon right here. It really doesn't take that long to color. So it just wraps in and out. And if you go out of the lines, that's okay because this is all going to be covered and obscured by needles. Here's another little bow right here. And then I'm going to take that darker red in a second. I'm just going to go in and add a little bit more detail. So don't stress too much about where you put the color because, again, this is all going to get colored in, all right? Now, if you want to make some of the balls red, you can do that. I think I made most of them blue on this card. Let me put this here so we can see where we're going. Let me take the darker red now here, though, and show you if I put it just at the edges of where it twists and the inside of that bow, that is just adding a little bit more dimension where you can see where it would be twisting and then the light is reflecting off of those sections of the ribbon, and then where it kind of tucks behind a present or one of those balls. So I hope that you can see this. You will be able to see it on your card. Okay, and then also if you want to add any little dots, so I have different little dots on here, but you can also just put these at random places throughout the card. I love white twinkle lights, but then I also like the colored lights. So just love everything about Christmas. I can't wait to start decorating. That's just the most fun part of working on your cards early, just getting to kind of experience that magic. All right, so now I'm going to use the blue, and I'm going to use that on these balls. And so I'm going just in a circular motion, and I'm just leaving a spot open for a highlight. I am going to highlight these with the white. And any place that you go over multiple times is going to create a darker color. So That's how you can really kind of layer your ink on and still have shadows if you don't have a lot of different markers. Okay. All right, so there's some blue, and if you wanted to add, it's okay if you have some different colors here too. I'm just not doing any green balls because that would kind of get lost within all of the green needles that I'm going to be doing. And if you want to do your needles first, you can do that too. I just find it easier to pick out the different ornaments and the ribbons if you start with those first. You want to be consistent about where that highlight is, so I'm using it as if the light is coming in from this direction or kind of from the front through that window. And if you cover it up a little bit more than you meant to, remember we're going to use that white gel pen. Okay, so now I'm going to take this lighter green, and I recommend, let me see if I have my little test piece over here just to show you. If you're going to be coloring on a colored piece of paper, it's going to look, your marker colors are going to look a little bit different than if you were coloring on the white. So this is going to show you exactly what your colors will look like. So again, I chose the yellow because I just thought it looked really warm and a color that you might actually have in a living room. You don't want to go too dark, but the darker you go, oh, and there's a ball I forgot to color, so I'm going to do that again in a minute. All right, so what we're going to be doing is I'm just going in, and you can really just scribble here if you want, but I'm just going over wherever you see those branches. So you don't have to, you know, trace exactly all of those little needles. Okay, we're just going in with the color, and I'm just putting it wherever the branches are. Now, if you color it really solid, you might want to, you know, just be really precise about it. But when you do that, you know, a Christmas tree is not solid. You can see through the branches, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to use this yellow paper, so that you see the wall behind it. Okay, so I'm just scribbling it in here, any place I see. Okay, right, see how fast that was? Okay, just right in there. And if you want to add a deeper green, so here's the darker green that I have, so you could put this in under areas that have that garland, or just into select places, and that's just going to look more like those branches are coming in and out, and you have kind of those darker spots in your tree. Okay, so you saw the before and after, what it looked like without the darker green. It's just giving it just a little bit more dimension. But see how fast I'm going? I'm not like picking out certain areas, except for to maybe put it under places that have ornaments. All right, okay, now, and see, and I covered up, you can't even see that ball anymore, so if you forget one, no big deal. Okay, now I went ahead and I did take a yellow marker just so that I could add in just some little brighter yellow. We have some colored lights on our trees that flash, so if you want to put in a darker yellow, and that's just warming it up, just adding a little bit more variety. I hope you watched our Facebook Live last night though, so that you could see, you can just stamp this in green or white or red, and it looks really pretty. You don't have to do a lot of coloring. Okay, so let's go ahead and add our, and oh, you know what, I'm going to put this on this star, like it's a gold star up here. Okay, so let's add our white, and this is just a really fun part, I think, to put on our little balls. And then we're going to dot this into the tree. So again, I've got little spots built into the image, little circles that you can add your color to, but you are not limited to those areas. You put it wherever you want, and they're going to show up even better over the darkest parts of your coloring. Okay, so I could keep going. All right, but I learned something in painting recently, that you don't ever really want to use true white on a painting for something unless it's a highlight. If you have white things, then that is not going to really look realistic, because then you can't create a shine on them. They have to be a little bit more cream or a little bit more gray, even if it's what you think is white. The only thing that really looks white in nature is sunlight hitting something and reflecting that. So I just thought that was really cool. So now I'm going to take my lighter red and I'm going to go in here and just very quickly, and as you'll notice on this one, I have used the chisel tip of this marker for most of my coloring, just because I have fine details here. And we've got all these different details, these fun packages that have these different ribbons on them. So this is up to you how you want to color these, but having those additional shades of the markers is going to allow you to create a little bit of shadow if you want to look like some of them are more tucked under the tree. So I'm using the lighter green here on this package and then the darker one on the outside, and see how just leaving that open is just kind of creating a rounded look on that box. I'm going to do a green package here. So some of them have the bow wrapped around them or on all sides of it. Let's see. I want to do, I think this one, let me see, I'm going to do red, dark red. And then you can also color fun little patterns on these with, I didn't mean to do it all red, with your different markers and with, oh, and I did that one wrong, I see now. All right, so I'm going to do this like that. Okay. I'm going to do this one all red too. I'm just going to make a pattern on it. I ended up coloring the side of the package instead of the ribbon that was on the side there. Okay, so I'm going to go over this. All right, let me do that little brown package I was talking about. So here is my lighter one. So I'm doing just this lighter 416. Okay. And then I'm taking the darker one, and see, this one looks like it's underneath the tree. So I'm putting it on the side that's farther away, closer to those other packages. So this lighter side is on here. So see, now this really looks like it's underneath the tree. And then I'm going to put a red ribbon around this one. Okay, let's make some little patterns here with my white pen. So I'm going to do just some little dots on this package. Okay, and then how about some stripes on this package? So fun. To personalize them. Okay. And then put a little bit on the top. And then if you want to add just some little highlights to those bows, you can do that. Okay. Add just a little bit more green just right in here, because it's going to be the darkest at the bottom of that tree. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this lighter brown and I'm just going to make a little shadow here under my tree skirt, which you probably won't even see after I do my blending. And then I want to use my darker red, and I'm just going to make an outline, small outline under those packages. So it might be hard to see these tiny details on the screen, but in person you really notice it a lot. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I want to do the stamping with my MISTI of my greeting on here. So let me set this aside. Put these in here. And there's some different ways that you can make this look more like the exterior of a house, with the shutters, with the small tree. Put those on either side. I hope you saw my samples last night. If not, you just got to keep coming back for more videos. All right, so I'm going to have this one say Merry Christmas. I'm going to put this right here in the corner. Right there. And pull this off. Move this up in the red. Oh, and I still need to do that floor. I'm glad I remembered that. So hang on. We're going to come back to that in just a second. So let me go ahead and get our greeting stamped on the sandy beach. So this is with the red velvet. Okay. All right, now get my scratch paper. So what we want, I just want to make sure that the floor is lined up with the bottom of my paper. And I'm going to have it just slightly higher than those gifts. All right. If you want to tape this down, you can. But so I'm just going to go in with the craft ink. And you just really want to concentrate at the top of that to really create the edge of that floor. Okay, just like that. All right, now let's go ahead and let's layer this behind here. So what I do is I take my Connect glue and I put it, just a thin bead of it with this nice applicator tip right around the edge. And then I'm going to lay this right on here. And I just want to make sure that it is lined up so that the edges of the window are parallel, and then you've got about, you know, it's between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch all the way around. But don't you just love that detail? I just think that's so pretty. Okay, now if you don't have any of the dies, I just want to encourage you, you can make this same card by layering these pieces, you know, put maybe a piece of red around there or other color. All right, I think, looks like I got that a little bit. Let me crop this just real quick because I didn't cut this with one of the dies, so it just looks a little bit off to my eye. Okay, all right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to put this behind here, and I want to pop it up so that you really see that dimension. So I'm going to take the foam squares, and you know, if you want to bling up this tree with you know, some rhinestones or some glitter, you know, enamel dots, just so many different things that you could do with it. Okay. And then this is also going to adhere it to our card base in addition to creating that dimension, so you don't have to add more adhesive. This is our adhesive here. Okay. And so we just want to make sure that all of the, that the window is completely framing that tree. Okay, just like that. All right. And then, oh, and I do, okay, I am going to need to put it on the back of this. Thought it was hanging out a little bit more. All right, so I'm going to attach it with this. So a little bit more of my Connect glue. And I put this, whoop, that would not be good. Right onto the card. Like that. Oh, pretty. So sweet. So here we go. So you can see the difference. So this just looks just so much more dimensional, and it really makes you appreciate all the detail just having that extra layer of that frame. So again, this is using the Winter Window open die, which gives you this piece, and then these slightly smaller pane die in Master Layouts 5. So I'm keeping these together. They just work so well together, and I'm going to have more things for this window for sure. So let me know in the comments which one you prefer, and if you watched my Facebook Live, let me know which card you would like for me to make next. I have got a sheet, a PDF, uploaded to our Gina K and Stamp TV Facebook friends page, showing all of these different layouts that you can create with or without the dies on for this set for winter windows. So you can check this out and you can see the different cards that I made for my release mocked up so that you can recreate them really easily yourself. Thanks so much for watching today. I really look forward to seeing your own projects with Winter Window. Come back. I hope that you will like and subscribe so that you won't miss a video. Lots more to come. Thanks so much for watching today. God bless.